Ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs, hi, Chris here with Andrew in the rotation for the Beacon Roundtable. I am excited because this morning I woke up from my cave of sickness. I've been sick since Christmas Day. And this morning I felt the most normal that I've felt in literally weeks. It's good. However, unfortunately for everybody else, when you're sick, you just, you lose weight, you just don't have much of an appetite. I am now unbelievably hungry for anything. I literally saw something last night called molcajete, which is a Mexican dish that uses a stone sizzling bowl. And it's full of like sauce, cheese, anything you can think of with,
oh man.
Yeah. And then they serve piping hot to you with like 2 layers of cheese. There's this is the cielo, mar y tierra, which is sky, land, and sea. So you've got like, I guess, cactus, chicken, steak.
Cactus?
Yeah. It's pretty common in Hispanic cuisine to have cactus, or yuca is another one. So yeah, excited to, I almost fell over when I saw this last night. I saw it on an Instagram reel and I was like, I'm so hungry. It's not even funny. But honestly, as much as I love this, I really just want Korean food or pork belly. If anybody knows how to make a good pork belly, pass that recipe on to me. Greatly appreciate it. Andrew, I started all my vegetarian and vegan friends out there. Andrew, are you craving anything right now food-wise?
Man, this was not the cold opener I was expecting. Do you like pineapple on pizza, Chris?
I am not an apologist or a defender.
All right.
I will take it either way. I delivered pizza for 6 years in my college years, so to me, it's just another pie.
It's just another pie.
I've seen pepperoni, anchovies, and pineapple, and onions. And that.
Okay, I don't know about that.
That is an interesting combination.
I've been thinking about chicken soup this entire time until you dropped the Mexican food, because I was like, Chris is sick. He should have some bone broth or something. He should have something hearty, good for the throat. Maybe some tea.
Indeed. We have some people who don't like, they don't like pineapple on pizza.
I agree about no raisins and cookies, and I also understand.
No. You
don't like
oatmeal raisins? One of my favorite cookies on the planet.
Oh my god. Okay. Honestly, probably a good steak. Probably a good steak is what I'm craving. You're making me think about it. I wasn't thinking about food.
Well, Mike's making me think about pho. Good stuff.
I am definitely going to have some pho when we head to Denver.
Exactly. That's a great segue. Because I am a huge foodie, as you know. And you're going to be there quite early. I'll be there early as well for ETHDenver for the main event, which is from the 28th to February 28th to March 4th. And
I'm going to, sorry, you keep going. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I'm going to say, I forget the name of it, but I need to take you to the pho place that I went with my brother last time I was in Denver, as my brother lives in Denver and he knows all the best restaurant spots, kind of more of the, not necessarily the nicest looking restaurant, but the place that has the best food.
That's the best.
So he is like, he has the spot for the best pho in Denver.
Excellent.
I will agree that it was the best pho I had. Not that I'm a fussbert, if you would say. But yeah, we'll have to go there.
And it's cheap too. That's what I love about pho. It's like a really good cheap meal. I mean, at least when I was in California, you get a gigantic bowl for like $5 and just be happy as a clam.
Yeah, I couldn't finish my pho.
Wow.
It was a lot of pho.
It's a lot of pho. You were pho'd out for sure. The main event, of course, we just talked about with the ETHDenver now happens in 3 weeks, 21 days away. So we do have some surprises in store for all of you. for ETHDenver over the next couple of weeks. So please stay tuned. I'm excited to, let you know about some of those changes as we run up to ETHDenver. Is there anything about ETHDenver, Andrew, that you're really excited about? I want to know what that is.
Oh yeah, and everybody's about to hear about it. Everybody in the mastermind's about to hear about it. Everybody in Beat the Banks is about to hear about it.
Do you want a sneak preview, or you just want to wait?
No, at a high level, it's I'm not gonna bury it. At a high level, it's ZKs. I'm really excited about ZKs. I've been doing, I'm heading down exactly 2 weeks from now to be there for the full hackathon. And I've been looking at all of the sponsors. I've been looking at, what it seems like the devs are excited about, what the dev workshops are going to be. And it's super clear that from the development side, where the money currently is in ZK rollups, and that there are multiple exciting looking projects that are getting ready to launch mainnet imminently. Like, they might be launched before ETHDenver, they might be launched directly during ETHDenver, or at the very least in the next 3 months. And there's a bunch of reasons for that, and I think it is going to be super informative to see what problems these heavily VC-backed multi-billion-dollar valuation companies are looking to bring in, new mercenary devs to help solve, and what the devs are looking to solve on, or to build on top of that. So that is what I am most particularly excited about for ETHDenver, is just diving in completely into the deep end of ZK rollup world.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was looking. I saw this. I didn't put it in the agenda, but I noticed that you mentioned ZKs, and today, or I guess it's today, yesterday. Oh wait, yeah, yesterday. Citria Layer 2 on Bitcoin, ZK. It's happening. First ZK rollup on Bitcoin. Kind of interesting how that's all going to work. A lot of smart people. I hope they're at Denver, because I want to learn more. You follow them so I know more about them. But yeah, that's I know you're really excited about that narrative. I am too. For me personally, ETHDenver, I'd like to call maybe the birthplace of Beacon, but ultimately, I'm most excited about seeing our founding members, meeting people in our community. I'm a big social person. I am an extrovert. I remember we attended, Jangle and myself attended an event in December 2022 in New York City, because we're there for an event with Nillian and Alpha DAO. And we saw at least 5 to 10 people that didn't even know were part of Beat the Banks who came. I had dinner with someone named Allison, who was in Beat the Banks. Her and Gigi and myself and Jangle, went and had dinner in New York City. So it was really cool to see that. Hopefully more people from Beat the Banks, or anyone who's in the community, comes out, says hello to us while we're there in Denver. Would love to meet you, just spend some time with you, pick each other's brain. That's why we love doing these events. That's what we love doing as Beacon, and we want to bring as many people together as possible. So excited to tell you more about what we'll be doing in the next couple of weeks. So I don't have I'm not going to give it any press, because it might kind of endanger things, but not that you need a service like this, Andrew. But apparently there's a service that is making AI generated passport information and selling them for $15 a pop. As an example, they actually made an Australian passport with Donald Trump's information on it, photo and everything. The passport is passing KYC at multiple CEXs, both US and non-US. You can find it if you search on Twitter. Actually, you'll be able to find out what it's called. But for the sake of anonymity, I'm not going to out them on it. But specifically for people who are looking to be somewhat pseudonymous or anonymous in this space, how do you feel about using a service like this?
That sounds very illegal. It seems easier just to get a, become a citizen of Palau.
Yeah, probably so.
I don't want to get on any no-fly lists, but I'm sure there are folks that will use such a service. But yeah, I don't think I really have any big comments on that. I think generally, as AI continues to make either iterative or exponential improvements from where it currently is, it is going to become harder and harder to detect. And if people can just make AI generated passports right now, that would mean that people could also manually make passports, just forge passports manually. That would pass some checks. So that probably not the best thing in the world for air travel security.
Mm-hmm.
Probably like something that needs to be fixed.
Probably so. I'm not condoning this. I'm just bringing it up to spread awareness that these things are available, and that, scarily enough, AI is getting really, really proficient at creating things. They can deep fake audio, they can deep fake video, they can deep fake photos. With more, like we talked about the security issues as well. If you're a company running support, you're gonna have to really figure out the right way to not get socially engineered through AI, for sure. So, anyway, we'll go ahead and move on.
Yeah, I don't want anyone, stealing anyone's phone number with an AI generated voice on a support line to a carrier.
I agree. So yesterday, the joke is that, I don't know if you saw Taiki's tweet. Taiki said that he bridged money to Solana and suddenly the chain went down. Like he's total top signal now. But Solana went down for 5 hours. Ultimately, it was when most people were probably sleeping or just waking up when they came back online. Ultimately, the issue is that a certain program failed after an update was made. Now, putting on my IT veteran hat, I would say that you need better testing at multiple levels with multiple, sandboxes. You should have a near production type of environment where you can test things like this and bring new things in so that things like this don't break. Maybe they don't have that luxury at Solana because of everything that they do there. Either way, price did fall once it happened, and this happened right after the Jupiter airdrop, so I'm sure some people were kind of worried. But it has held and regained since the outcome. To answer Bill's question, thoughts on Solana? Ultimately as a coin, it obviously has surged back from where it was post FTX. They have a lot of good things going for them. They have mainstream ties. They have Shopify, business development partnerships. They have that mobile phone thing going on that's getting a lot of people going crazy. A lot of people still love Solana. That's really the thing that is kind of key for Solana's success. There will always be an issue on how Solana will have a good mechanism for capturing value. But with some of these new technological updates they're doing with their new, with like FireDancer and some of these little light clients that they're doing, and some scaling things, I think with all the changes that are happening, we're seeing an obfuscation. Like all of the L1s are starting to look similar. And I don't think that's not by design. I do think as crypto becomes more mainstream, you're not really going to worry too much about what specific blockchain you're on, but more about what type of experience you're having based on protocols, based on your wallets, things like that. Any thoughts on that, Andrew, before we move on?
I think so. The main thing is, unless you're Ethereum or Bitcoin, your tokenomics probably aren't that good. There's either VCs that have huge percentages that are going to be able to dump a bunch, or there is a really large inflation. There's just frankly, fundamental economic issues with many of these competitor layer 1 tokens. Even with chains that I love, such as Optimism and Arbitrum, there are going to be VC unlocks, and there's going to be when does the team wins the team's cliff, and what's their vesting schedule. There's going to be all of that stuff. So I think most of these L1s and how investable they are, it's about understanding the point of the cycle that we're in. And typically, just looking at previous cycles, the point of the cycle that we are in is one that Bitcoin and Ethereum should be leading. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't going to be some aberrations and some things that take off, but this phase of the bull market should have Ethereum and Bitcoin leading. And the time, historically, for the rotation into L1s, or altcoins in general, is when Bitcoin and Ethereum are nearing or at their cycle peak. That is when alt season tends to happen. Now, there's a million things that could mean that history, doesn't rhyme as well as I would expect it to rhyme. But Solana, it's one of those conversations where we just have to really specifically be are we talking about the coin or are we talking about the chain? So we're talking about the chain. There are some compelling things about the chain, also some big weaknesses. But right now, if it's able to kind of maintain its narrative position, we could expect some cool things to continue to happen on Solana in the short term. From a coin perspective, I don't particularly like the Solana coin. I have some exposure to it. It's a small amount. But I do not have high conviction in Solana going up, down, or sideways at this point.
Fair enough. One thing you may have some conviction in going up and sideways is probably what's the hottest narrative right now in DeFi. And that's EigenLayer with liquid restaking. They opened up the caps again on February 5th, which was Monday. And in less than 48 hours, their TVL shot up $4 billion. $4 billion. Making it I think it's the number, I want to say it's the number 5 protocol in all of DeFi right now. 6, which means it has a higher TVL than Compound and Curve, Pancake Swap, Frax in 2 days. Has a while to catch up to some of these larger ones, but still unbelievable gains from EigenLayer and this liquid restaking narrative. Those of you who are not aware, EigenLayer is a protocol that has their main product, which is EigenDA, where you can stake your ETH and it's restaked to give you utility for being part of their consensus. So they have data availabilities and other services, AVS as they call them, that can be sent out to rollups that are deployed on EigenLayer itself. So let me see if we go to ecosystem, you can see some of the ones that are there. Rollup. AltLayer is one. You may have heard of that. Movement. Mantle is one. Celo is an L1 that's been around. That's being transitioned to an Ethereum layer 2 rollup. So ultimately, you are, liquid restaking. You're putting in liquidity into something that is going to be an ecosystem for helping with their consensus and their execution. So really interesting idea. To be honest, I think the majority of people that are in EigenLayer are there to farm points for an airdrop, specifically here with their Eigen points, because these are all of the liquid staked tokens that you can actually deposit. And this is a staggering amount of liquid staked. I mean, just Mantle. So this is the part that actually, was interesting to me, that I guess Rocket Pool is low, but Mantle, Lido, of course, would be the largest. But Mantle is actually pretty high up there. I was very surprised by that. But there's a bunch of different ones that are out there that you can have, like three-way airdrop points that you're farming. We've talked about one in our mastermind, but ultimately all of this is on ETH mainnet. So unless you have size, unless you're comfortable with going to mainnet and just staking and set and forget for a couple months, I guess the good part about it is that you don't have to fight with a lot of speculative degens with low capital, I suppose. What do you think, Andrew?
I think this is really interesting, especially for folks that have a couple hundred ETH sitting around that they feel like is underdeployed. And instead of just getting some, instead of getting, 30, depending on what they're doing, but instead of getting, anywhere from 15 to 40%, doing some more traditional market making and staking strategies, they want to rack up points. So I think like EigenLayer continues to be super interesting, really because of all of the projects and other infrastructure that is building and looking to build on top of what they're doing. I feel like what EigenLayer is doing is highly technical enough that most market participants don't necessarily care to try to understand it. So I'm not going to try to explain it. But yeah, I think like the most key thing is who is building on it, right? Right. So if you have a cool piece of tech or a cool piece of theoretical something that is like, well, no one's building on it, no money is ever going to be in this ecosystem or related to it. If there's an airdrop, why would it have any value? Then you don't care. But with EigenLayer, you should care because people are building on it.
Yeah. So
if there's probably going to be an airdrop, you might want to qualify for that.
And there are there's 126,000 wallets farming EigenLayer. That's a lot of ETH being farmed here. So there's a pretty big bet on EigenLayer. For those of you who are curious, like, is there another technology that's like EigenLayer that's out there? Yes, it's Celestia. So we're going to see two behemoth protocols coming head to head with services over this year, which hopefully is good for us as the everyday investor. That's the whole idea, is that, all of these people are fighting for your liquidity. And that's all that yield farming is about, right? Renting out your liquidity and receiving an incentivized yield for it. So ultimately, there's a lot of ETH coming in here. To answer Tom's question with size, honestly, you could probably do fine with as little as 1 to 2 ETH. ultimately you're just providing liquidity for them to help secure their services, help with their consensus, and then helping provide liquidity to all the rollups they're requesting. So EigenLayer's done all the right things, I think, from a marketing standpoint. They have partnerships with other L1s that are creating their own data availability layers to help contribute, Near being one of them. They have their Near DA coming out, which is supposed to be compatible with EigenLayer. Yeah, and we've talked about this on this podcast. I think we talked about it at back in October before ETH Miami, about the idea about liquid restaking maybe possibly being a hot narrative. And literally within a couple of months, here we are, from like 2 protocols. I believe it was Origin and Stater being the only ones in a testnet with it, to now seeing at least 12, maybe not 12, but almost a dozen protocols soon will be offering this here. It's a pretty staggering move. So I'd have to think that this is that, for anyone who has size, who is okay with ETH mainnet, that this is a pretty safe bet to gain some yield. One thing we talked about on our Thursday call last week was specifically, its role with Pendle. Because for whatever reason, Pendle decided to go nutsoid and offer it's down, not by much, but still, to get 33% on Easy ETH, which is from who had Easy ETH? We really like them, Renzo. But even like 29% from Kelp, which you can actually do double point farming along with Easy ETH with Stater and Kelp DAO. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty compelling set and forget type of farming. You could probably just do this and just let it chill for at least 2-3 months. What do you think, Andrew? Obviously not financial advice, do your own research.
I think as far as speculating on a high value airdrop by deploying some of your capital into a position that is likely to be retroactively incentivized.
Yeah,
I think this is all a good play.
Only 126,000 wallets. I mean, yeah. I mean, I can't imagine that these are all unique to one person. So it's probably like a pretty small circle of people who's going to be able to take advantage of this. So we talked about, this is what probably all of the higher cap and the whales are doing. What are the people that are not there doing? And we'll talk about this new thing that came up in the last 24 to 40 hours. ERC404. Oh, Pandora.
All right, let's get into it.
Let me see if I can. Let me get Deck Screener up, because I want to see. Oops, hold on. Where Pandora is. Let me answer your question, Dan. Oh, wow. It's up to 16. Oh, my goodness. Oh. Wow. When we were looking at it, it was at 8.
I mean, when I was looking at it, it was 17. I was looking at it right before this call.
Yeah. When I looked at it, it was 8.
Come down a bit.
Yeah, Dan, besides smart contract, yeah, it's just smart contract risk, really. That's really the risk.
So much smart contract risk.
It could be more. It depends on how the PT does, and as opposed to the fixed yield. So if there's a leverage so there's a black.
Oh, I was talking about Pendle. Pandora.
I'm sorry. No, I know, but I'm trying to answer Dan's question about Pendle and its magic box. Oh, there's a variety of places that the yield comes from. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that another day. But so Pandora, ERC404. What is ERC404? This is from, here's the GitHub. I was reading this yesterday morning because I was very curious about it. I've heard about this since it launched, And I didn't really want to talk about it because I didn't understand how it even worked. So the idea is it's supposed to be a hybrid version of a regular ERC20, Ethereum coin and an NFT token. That's what that's what a 721 is. It tries to fix the issue with 721s, obviously NFTs. The big reason, and if you were at Beat the Banks last week for my NFT training, it's a liquid, right? So that's kind of the issue with NFT. So this provides a little bit of liquidity that because you have an NFT that's tied to a coin. Now, if there's anything that's very interesting about this, it's that it allows for fractional purchasing of coin and NFT. Because I mean, for someone to buy one outright, it's going to take a lot of scratch unless you're able to get in like, $200 to $400 or 4,000, which some people were able to get in last night. It actually was, it's actually a redo of a project called Emerald that rugged, because the idea for it came from this developer, but he used ChatGPT to write the contract. It got exploited and, rugged all the people. But, and this is a great example. It's just a mix. It reminds me of one of my favorite animals at the zoo. If you've ever seen an okapi, an okapi is kind of like a mix between like a deer, a zebra, and a gazelle. It looks very similar except without the giraffe.
At a high level, that image really explains everything about what this is.
Yeah. So to break it down pretty quickly, so if you have one Pandora, you will get an NFT that comes along with it. You will not get an NFT with your Pandora until you reach 1. So if you have like 0.3, 0.4, then, you're not going to get the NFT. Now, the NFT, right now, I guess the floor on Blur, it's at least 2 ETH. So, could be a pretty decent buy. So what some people have done is that they've actually just sold the NFT and bought more Pandora with it, which is fine and dandy. The part that scares me, and this is the part that will scare me for anybody who is looking to get into this, is at the moment that you sell or transfer that token, the NFT gets burnt, and as long as you're still holding one, another NFT is minted. So let's say that you bought one Pandora, you got the NFT, and then it's in your hot wallet, right? And you decided, well, I'm going to hold on to this. I'm going to put it in my farming wallet and like on my ledger or, Trezor, whatever you have. The moment you transfer that token, that NFT gets burned. So if it was a really rare NFT, it's bye-bye. And you're going to get a brand new one when you get over it. And maybe that's okay. But that's something, to me, scary idea, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. This link is in the show notes. It comes from Blockmates. So there's going to be multiples of these coming out. There's another one called Anon that came out that most likely won't be as good as Pandora. Now, the interesting story with Pandora is that there's a dev who saw the Emerald rug, reached out to him to show him what he did wrong, fixed it, and then relaunched it as Pandora. So hopefully everything goes to plan here, I guess, and he doesn't get exploited. But you're going to say, Andrew.
So that Twitter thread that you're referencing.
Yes.
Now, guys, this is not particularly educational or actionable, but it is hilarious. Like, the best way I can describe this is it's like reading DeFi degen fan fiction. You're reading a story that is funny. And that's all I can say. Chris sent this to me. I read it. It was the most hilarious thing I'd read this week. That's all I can say.
Yeah. So Pandora is running. Anon, another one, is running. There's one on Arbitrum called Crystal. There's some alpha for you guys. honestly, the one thing I would say is tread very lightly if you are not very confident with these types of meme coins, which is what they are. You know, ERC404 is a very experimental standard. I mean, they even say so on the GitHub.
It shouldn't even be called a standard. It's not really a standard. It's
yeah.
Sorry, go on, Chris.
But it is open source. And again, I mean, it hasn't been launched that long. So, you know, kudos to developers and bright minds. Welcome to the bull market. You're gonna see all kinds of weird things. Andrew, I know, is excited because these are new hot balls of money, you know, money games that you can play. I was not expecting, this was not on my bingo card for 2024. For sure. But we'll see what happens. Either it's going to go BRC20, to be quite honest. It could get that level of hot. And, you know, as much as I faded BRC20, I guess I can't anymore because it's ultimately gone into all kinds of different realms and arenas. Just like we couldn't fade Friendtech, as much as we just kind of laughed at it in the beginning. But, you know, exit Friendtech, enter ERC404, I suppose. Interesting idea. If you have gotten in on this, would love to know a little bit more on what you're planning on doing with your investment. I know quite a few degens who are in this, and yeah, interesting. We'll see what happens. I get very squeamish about things like this because there's so much room for error, and you can easily make the mistake of burning your NFT if you don't realize it. And to me, that seems to be at least probably the biggest, kind of like when we saw BRC20 BTC punks going for 8 BTC. This, I think, will be kind of in that same vein. Obviously, the impressive speculation here to see it break 16 is kind of crazy. But then again, a lot of meme coins are a little crazy. So, yeah. There you go. Let's see. We'll go ahead and move on. Congrats to anybody who got in on the Dimension airdrop. Quite a few members of our community were able to get in on it. Got a decent haul. Got some members in our mastermind with 4 and 5 figure drops. What are you gonna say, Andrew?
Could we not move on for another minute?
Sure. Where do you want me to go?
I want to talk about ERC404 just a little bit more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because the way it's implemented right now, right, is we're playing. There's a game being played that's just a degenerate game around NFTs that have completely speculative value, a token that is completely speculative value, and the only value is number go up because more people look at this and get into it, and you know, everyone timing their exit. The oldest, you know, high risk, brand new degen thing story ever invented. But DeFi is doing something kind of fun here, I think, which is, well, silly and fun. Like on one side, I think it's silly because we have this interesting new solution. No one's exactly sure what problem it's solving. Like the problem it might be solving is how to buy lottery tickets in DeFi. Or something else. But this is, I think, how things often go in DeFi and crypto development, where the first implementation of something or the first use case for something new is silly. And it becomes less silly as iterations go along. Now, a lot of times the money is to be made in the silly portion, not the boring utility portion. But I think, like, one of the things that this is inviting us to think about is what types of token standards or interactions between tokens could exist that don't currently exist. Because right now we have for the last few years, I think, been in the very binary world of we have native coins, i.e. Bitcoin and Ethereum. We have the ERC20 token standard and other similar standards where it's just you have a fungible token that lives on top of another chain. And we have NFTs, which are the non-fungible tokens. Now, what ERC404 is it hasn't really made something new. It has fused together the main token standards that we're currently using. It's what if we built kind of this interesting interaction, this interesting pair between NFTs that are minted when you get a Pandora in a new wallet or when you get a new ERC20 token in a new wallet. And that is what's interesting to me, because it kind of brings more mind share into what if we just invented new token standards and saw and we kind of just like saw what happened. What if we just programmed in these interactions, not because we already know what the great use case is, but just because we're experimenting. And it's kind of a fun rabbit hole, because we literally can invent all of the rules. All of the rules are just invented, and anyone can make a new set of rules and put it on top of the virtual computers that we're all sharing on these blockchains.
I'll give you a minute to think of like some use cases here, but as you've been talking, I have thought about possible use cases here for 404. And I think for me, the first two that immediately come to mind is probably the ticketing industry. Being able to have a token that could represent a ticket with an NFT tied to it. That you have to own a whole version of in order to have the NFT ticket to gain admission. You could transfer it to somebody. I mean, like I could definitely see that being a thing. Obviously, not in this exact form. So ultimately, if you're going to be getting into any of these, I just wanted to preface with, you need to find out what is in the smart contracts with regards to how that mechanism is firing. If it's the same as Pandora, I guess that's one thing, but there could be some tweaks, and you should be looking at that smart contract, or at least find people who will, and at least get the idea of what's going on there. So that's one that actually came to mind pretty quickly. The other is DeFi insurance. Being able to have, insurance claims that you pay for, because, it's emergency break glass type stuff, right? So if you're paying and speculating on a coin that gives you an NFT with a specific claim amount on it based on how much you buy, then that could be an interesting way to pay out. Again, just throwing it out there. I have no idea how to make that work, but I don't know. What do you think, Andrew? Do you think those make interesting sense, or is that a little too far?
I think those are good problems to solve. I'm not sure if this may or may not be the best solution to that. I think the next thing that I think of is new interesting ways to bootstrap liquidity and volume through weird incentives. So here's a weird incentive. If you want to incentivize someone holding a token, you give them something for holding the token. If you want to incentivize volume, you incentivize someone holding a certain amount of a token at least once. So something you could do is you could even do the exact kind of opposite of what Pandora does, where if you sell the Pandora, you lose your NFT. You could have something where, let's call it token X. If you've ever held 1,000 token X, you get this NFT. If you've ever held 10,000 token X, you get this NFT. You explicitly do not lose it. It's like a high watermark of how much you've ever had of this thing. You could even give someone a different NFT if they had sold X amount, if you want to incentivize selling.
So GameFi.
Sure. I mean, gamifying market participation. It could almost be like, you could almost think of it like as an airdrop. Like, hey guys, we're launching this protocol. We're going to bootstrap some liquidity. You get this NFT if you ever provide liquidity for over this amount of time. You get this NFT if you sell. You get this NFT if you buy over these amounts. And then, later there might be some future incentive tied to that NFT that you won. So it's almost like a pre-airdrop. It's like points, right? So it's like you're racking up. It's a point system for participation, and then you do something else with that. So like, I'm not saying that's a bunch of utility. I'm just saying there are so many other things that could be experimented with just by pairing the ERC20 token contract with an NFT token contract with a 721.
Yeah, there's CS:GO skins.
Sure, man. I love CS:GO skins.
Yeah.
You've got quite a collection, right?
No.
You don't like CS:GO?
No, it's not that. I'm just not very good at. I have what we call boomer hands. I have terrible reflexes. Terrible reflexes. I'm no good in first-person shooters, and I get motion sick really easily. So, that's not really. I'm more of an action RPG kind of person. So.
Yeah. Okay, I was joking. I know you're not into.
Oh, I see.
It was a joke. I was right. So yeah, I think I am excited to see where this experimentation goes.
As am I.
I'm not so excited to I'm not going to yeet my entire portfolio into these Magic Degen games. I might play around on an isolated hot wallet with a set amount of funds that I'm not afraid to lose. But at this point, to me, this is like Bitcoin ordinals, except more interesting. This is to me much less contrived and pointless than ordinals.
Yeah,
but also has that hype flavor where I could really see like, this is the first flash in the pan of this thing, and then there's going to be 100 different versions. It's going to go to all the chains, and then there's going to be an ad in the Super Bowl about it, and that is when we'll know that we have hit the peak of the market.
Yeah, top signal, right? All right. You good if we move on? Because I know you're really excited about this. We can keep talking about it if you really want.
But... No. We can keep going. Let's keep going.
Well, want to congratulate anybody who got the Dimension airdrop DYM. I will say I believe staking is better on the Cosmos side than it is on the Ethereum side. So for those who qualified, they were pretty much taking eligible wallets from Solana, Ethereum, and Cosmos. I guess if you owned a Bad Kids, which is an NFT collection on Stargaze, which is the NFT blockchain on Cosmos. I guess there are some people who own some Bad Kids that I think it was drawn by an 11-year-old, and they're really bad looking, like on like construction paper, and they earned like 6-figure airdrops just for holding them, which is pretty crazy. And we have, multiple people they're trying to figure if they want to sell or if they want to stake. I decided to stake because I think there's more happening. Unfortunately for them, They didn't start off too hot. They still couldn't. I think they fixed it, but they were unable to reach consensus on their mainnet for a good 12 to 15 hours because one of their major validators unfortunately had an issue with getting slashed, or something was wrong with their setup. So yeah, rough start. It was with Chorus One, and now I guess Big Brain Staking, which is one of the larger ones, has 30% of the voting power, which should not be happening. So ultimately, they have some work to do, but I do think they're going to figure it out. They put a lot at stake in this airdrop, so we'll see. So I'm going to stake
was
for
that
a little
pun,
bit.
Sir?
Yeah, I guess it was.
Okay.
Some people are looking to sell, some are looking to stake and sell. We'll see. But for now, I hit an all-time high this morning, so we'll see where we go from here. Yeah, Dimension going up is pretty good. So Dimension itself is a layer one roll app platform where other and we talked about this on a very old episode of this show back before we were on YouTube. It's just an idea, and it's here now, and it caught a lot of people by surprise. So we'll see what happens there. I'll talk about two things before we head home. Wormhole airdrop. Here's the tokenomics. It's going to be in the show notes. Apparently, they may have taken a snapshot last night. I am hopeful that I got my NFTs linked to my Discord account. Thankfully, I have an OG role there because I've been using Wormhole a very long time, as much as I dislike it.
You're a Wormhole OG? Is that what you're saying, sir?
Yeah, I saw that and I laughed. I'm like, okay, too bad I don't really like using you, but I guess, I had to for a very long time because, unfortunately, Allbridge was not around. I think even like at some point, instead of using Wormhole, I just used crypto.com to send money from like Polygon or Arbitrum back to crypto.com and just sending Sol down to Solana that way because it was cheaper and easier, because Wormhole was notorious for taking a dozen hours to get anything to go through. So in any case, if you're using it, congrats. Hopefully it works out for you. I'll talk about one other piece of alpha that's coming through. Frames from Farcaster. Anyone who's not familiar with Farcaster, it is I forgot to sign up last night. I have it now on there's a mobile app for it. So basically called Warpcast. There's multiple different clients, but Farcaster is decentralized Web3 based social media. So imagine, if Twitter goes down, if X goes down tomorrow or today, we're going to have to wait for all of that to come back up infrastructure wise. You're not going to get that with decentralized social media because there are multiple servers and clients that can relay the information back and forth. So the issue with it is not the idea, it's just there's not enough people using it. Well, ultimately, it's a place where they are starting to see a little bit of movement, mainly from this thing called Frames. If you're a fan of Bankless, they have an interview with Dan Romero from Farcaster. This is in the show notes as well. I need to watch it. I haven't had a chance to watch it, but we'll see how David and Ryan, get along and find out more about, why this is cool. Basically, Frames allows you and a message that you relay out through any of the clients, Supercast, Warpcast. Warpcast can be the one that you would use, that most people probably use. I guess they're doing a lot of degen token launches and NFTs through this Frame. It's basically a container that you can put into a Farcast post, and then you could put like polls, you can put media. People are able to deploy smart contracts apparently, or at least give you tokens. Obviously, very high risk with that. Don't use your regular wallet. Use a burner wallet for stuff like that. There was one the other day that I was just like, no, please don't. It was called Seed Bucks. And basically you had to respond with you had to use their frame and enter in your seed phrase to get tokens. And I'm like, please do not do that. Please do not.
That's so bad it's funny.
Yeah. But in my networks, there's a lot of people talking about Farcaster and frames. So you can actually go to farcaster.xyz and sign up for an account. I have it here on my phone. It looks a lot like Twitter, and yeah, basically, they have something called warps, which is their currency you can tip in, and there's a lot of key opinion leaders trying to post here. Vitalik has always used Farcaster and Warpcast. Yeah, there seems to be quite a few protocols doing some token launches, or at least some possible future airdrops on here. So something to consider if you're looking for something like that. And depending on how it goes, maybe we'll have some type of non-standard live stream on Farcaster, because you can actually do that using these frames. So
really,
yeah, I thought it was interesting. I was like, that's what I'm talking about. That's some good stuff.
We stream a live video feed to the blockchain, sir.
Yeah, why not? No idea how it's hosted, but
yeah, that's
how
the
people
joke.
can. Yeah, I know. So yeah, there's your alpha for the day. What to do with your dimension stuff. And Dave, the reason why it's better is because the rate's higher. It was 1100% yesterday. I don't know if it's that way anymore, but there was huge RPC issues. I think everything is solved now. But yeah, I'm staking mine on the Cosmos side. I don't think it's very good on the ETH website, to be quite honest, but we'll see. I think things will even out in time. It was more of a get there early type of thing previously, but yeah. Okay. Well, we'll answer some of these questions offline because we're pretty much at time. But Andrew, thanks for coming on. Anything you want to plug before you head home?
If you're on the fence about going to ETHDenver, I think you guys should come. Let us know if you're planning to come. And I can only speak with experience in that going last year was life-changing for me.
Same. And you can get a beanie or a hat or a t-shirt or a hoodie.
Yep.
I'll have limited amounts. You can take a picture with me. We can have a drink, have food.
That's all. I'm trying to get a little bit more sleep over the next couple of weeks, because I'm assuming I'm probably not going to get a ton while I'm in Denver. And that's
Probably
a choice.
not.
That's a choice, but a choice that I know I'm likely to make.
Well, if it turns out anything like Miami was, we had a great time in ETH Miami. Again, being able to meet our founding members, being able to meet our mastermind community, people from Beat the Banks, just people who this was the first time they ever went to a crypto conference. And I think, obviously there's, quite a few less people at ETH Miami, but ETHDenver is going to have tens of thousands of people there. So if this is your first time ever going to a crypto conference, it's going to be a very cool event for you. There's so many things going on, tons of side events. We already have a little bit of an idea on what to recommend, but we'll know more as we get closer. Yeah, it's just a great experience. Anybody who's here in the chat that, Dan was there last year, it was a good time. Really enjoyed the time there. Our little beacon house with 11 people. That was fun.
Let's not speak of that house again.
You're right.
Yeah, great call.
All right, guys.
ZKs, ERC404, free money airdrops. We're back, baby.
We're back. Oh, and please, if you're new to us, you can certainly join our free group, Beat the Banks. I'll be leading a training this Friday. I haven't fully gotten the A-OK from my marketing director, but I believe we're going to be going to Solana. So you get to learn a little bit more about Solana this Friday. So Friday, 3 p.m. This will be training number 11. And again, let me put the link in here. It's just btb.xyz/training. www.beacondefi.xyz. A lot of great trainings, a lot of great community stuff. And again, we'll be having some really cool updates on content for you coming in the next couple of weeks before we get to ETHDenver. So excited to unveil those things to you all. And that's it.
Cheers.
07. Have a great Wednesday. We'll see you later.